Let's focus now on the situation in Afghanistan. At least 8 people were killed this weekend when a series of rockets hit densely populated areas of Kabul. This was just the latest large attack in a wave of violence that's sweeping the Afghan capital. The Islamic State group claimed responsibility for those attacks. And to talk more about this latest wave of violence now, let's bring in Romain Malejacq, the author of Warlord Survival, the Delusion of State Building in Afghanistan. He joins me now live from the Netherlands. Romain, thanks for joining us. This was just the latest large attack in this wave of violence sweeping Kabul. The Islamic State group is a smaller presence in Afghanistan compared to the Taliban. Can we say without a doubt that they were behind this attack?
Yes, they've claimed the attack, and the Taliban have said that it wasn't them. So most likely it is them that were behind the attacks. That's in line with their modes of behavior strategically, to use this ultra-violence, to use this violence against civilians for a number of reasons: to delegitimize the government, to undermine the government's legitimacy and show that the government cannot protect the population, but also to show that they are committed to the fight, as opposed to the Taliban, to be able to recruit more ideologically motivated fighters that would be disappointed by the Taliban, and also attract resources in Afghanistan.
Now, this is an interesting situation because now here we have the Taliban that is actually negotiating peace talks with the Afghan government of the moment in Doha. That's been going on since September. There are reports that a breakthrough could be announced in the coming days. Do you see that happening, given this recent violence we've seen in Kabul due to the Islamic State group?
Well, I think we have to disconnect the two. The Islamic State Khorasan, and so the Islamic State in Afghanistan, is spoiling the process, trying to push the Taliban to use more violence, to, well, themselves they're committing more and more horrific attacks to destabilize the process. At the same time, the negotiating team in Kabul, from Kabul, that is in Doha, and the Taliban, they negotiate besides in isolation a little bit with what is happening. There is no real breakthrough yet. They are solving some of their disagreements, but we're not there yet.
The Taliban in Washington did sign a deal in February paving the way for foreign forces to leave Afghanistan entirely by next year. This week, the U.S. announced, though, that it would accelerate its planned troop withdrawal in Afghanistan. Will that help or hurt the current situation?
Well, that will change the current situation in the sense that the faster the U.S. withdraws, the less control there is on the Taliban. So the more it empowers the Taliban, the more it weakens the government in trying to push their political agenda forward. So it hurts the situation in Afghanistan, generally speaking. It pushes the Taliban to not make any concessions.
We were talking about this series of big attacks in Kabul recently, all claimed by the Islamic State group. Those include horrific assaults on schools, educational institutions that left nearly 50 dead in recent weeks. What kind of toll is this continued violence having on the people in Afghanistan?
Well, it's terrible for the population in Afghanistan, of course. I mean, these attacks have been horrific. The Islamic State Khorasan is using ultra-violence, barbaric attacks against the population, against Shia populations in Afghanistan. So it's really terrible. I mean, the population is really willing to make peace in Afghanistan. And the Islamic State, they have supporters, they have commanders, they have fighters that are ideologically motivated. But honestly, within the Afghan population, they don't have much support. It's an ideology that is brutal, that is intolerant, that is extremely exclusive, that has very little support among the Afghan population.
So given that, and given all the different players here, the Taliban, the Islamic State group, the Afghan government, the United States, what's the best way forward, in your opinion, to finally get some kind of peace in Afghanistan?
Well, it's a difficult question. I think the U.S. has a very important role here to not withdraw in a rush, to make sure that the next U.S. administration doesn't follow the same path of rushing to the exit. They don't have to be in Afghanistan forever. Of course, they will be withdrawing, but they have to do it in a way that controls the process, make sure that the Taliban are making concession so that they can be integrated in some sort of a power-sharing political settlement in Afghanistan, because there is no way out of negotiating with the Taliban. but the US also has a responsibility to protect the population of Afghanistan and protect the current government in Afghanistan.
And what about the Afghan government? What should they be doing, or what can they be doing at this point?
Well, right now there's nothing. They cannot really be doing much because they've been bullied into accepting concessions by the current U.S. administration, which has been giving in to the Taliban's demand all the time. But they have to try to present a more united front. It's right now the negotiation team in Doha that represents the Islamic Republic is not even representing the government only. It's representing all the different factions. They all have different political interests, but they have to present a united front in terms of values and defending the values that the government represents.
Romain, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. Romain Malejacq, the author of Warlord Survival, The Delusion of State Building in Afghanistan. Thank you.